For all you youngsters who think Patrick Mahomes just magically appeared in the NFL throwing no-look passes, boy, are you wrong. This isn't some fairy tale story about a golden boy who had everything handed to him on a silver platter. Mahomes earned every single yard, every impossible throw, and every championship ring through pure grit, countless hours in the gym, and a relentless drive that turned him into the highest-paid athlete in sports history. As one of the most clutch performers in NFL history, Mahomes doesn't just throw footballs, he throws daggers into the hearts of defenses who think they have him figured out. But how did a kid from East Texas become not just the face of the NFL, but a business empire worth over $500 million? Mahomes was born September 17, 1995, in Tyler, Texas, into a modest middle-class family where dreams were big but money was tight. His mother, Randy, worked multiple jobs to keep the family afloat while making sure Patrick stayed grounded. Grades come first, sports come second. She'd tell him every morning before school. The Mahomes household wasn't wealthy by any means. There were times when Patrick had to wear hand-me-down cleats and use second-hand equipment, but what they lacked in money, they made up for in work ethic and determination. Growing up in East Texas, Patrick learned early that nothing was going to be given to him. While other kids were playing video games, Patrick was in the backyard, throwing footballs through tire swings until his arm went numb. His mother, Randy, made sure he understood that athletic ability meant nothing without character. And that mentality shaped everything Patrick would become at White House High School. Mahomes faced his first real test of character. He was legitimately elite at both football and baseball, but everyone expected him to choose the safer path. Baseball scouts were calling constantly, and the Detroit Tigers eventually drafted him in the 37th round, offering him $200,000 to skip college and go straight to the minors. For a family that had struggled financially, that was life-changing money. But on Friday nights, under those Texas lights, something magical happened when Mahomes took snaps behind center. Here's what made Mahomes different from every other high school quarterback in Texas, and trust me, that's saying something. While other QBs were running simple handoffs and short passes, Mahomes was out there throwing 60-yard bombs with perfect spiral, bang throws that had his own coaches shaking their heads in disbelief. His senior year stats were absolutely ridiculous. 4,619 passing yards, 50 passing touchdowns, plus 15 more rushing touchdowns. But here's the crazy part. Major college programs were still sleeping on him, questioning whether his numbers were real or just a product of playing weak competition. The recruiting process was a humbling experience for Mahomes. Texas didn't want him. Oklahoma barely looked at him. Even TCU, just a few hours away, thought he was too much of a risk. Can you imagine? The future face of the NFL couldn't get the big Texas schools to return his phone calls. Finally, Texas Tech head coach Cliff Kingsbury saw something special in this skinny kid from East Texas. Kingsbury offered him a full scholarship, and Mahomes made the decision that would change his life forever. He turned down that $200,000 baseball contract to bet on himself at Texas Tech. Mahomes quickly proved that his high school success wasn't some fluke. Playing in Lubbock, where the wind never stops blowing and defense is purely optional, Mahomes put up numbers that would make even Madden players jealous. But it wasn't just the stats that impressed his teammates and coaches, it was his leadership. Here was a 19-year-old kid from East Texas, walking into a locker room full of upperclassmen and immediately commanding respect through his work ethic and competitiveness. In 2016, he threw for 5,052 yards and 41 touchdowns while completing nearly 66% of his passes. Those weren't just good numbers, they were historically great. But what really caught NFL scouts' attention wasn't just the volume of his stats, it was how he got them. Mahomes was making throws that defied physics, sidearm passes through tiny windows, no-look throws that had defensive backs spinning in circles, and deep balls that dropped into receivers' hands like they were guided by GPS. The Kansas City Chiefs traded up to select Mahomes, and Andy Reid made a phone call that would alter the course of NFL history. Reid had seen something in Mahomes that other coaches missed, not just the arm talent, but the football IQ and the clutch gene that you can't teach. "We're going to develop you slowly," Reid told Mahomes on that draft day call. "You're going to sit behind Alex Smith, learn our system, and when your time comes, you'll be ready." Patrick signed his rookie contract worth $16.42 million over 4 years more money than his family had ever dreamed of. The 2017 season was the longest year of Mahomes' life, watching Alex Smith lead the Chiefs to success while he held clipboards and ran scout team was torture for a competitor like Patrick. He started just one meaningless game at the end of the season against Denver, throwing for 284 yards. But more importantly, he spent every practice, every meeting, every film session preparing for his opportunity. When 2018 arrived and Smith was traded to Washington, Mahomes finally got his shot. But nobody, and I mean nobody, was prepared for what happened next. In his first year as a starter, Mahomes didn't just succeed, he absolutely exploded onto the scene like a firework display. 5,097 passes, 50 touchdown passes, and only 12 interceptions while leading the Chiefs to the AFC Championship game. At 23 years old, he became the youngest quarterback ever to throw for 5,000 yards and 50 touchdowns in a season, winning unanimous NFL MVP honors. But individual awards weren't enough for Mahomes. And more importantly, they weren't enough for his bank account. The Chiefs knew they had something special, and Mahomes knew his worth. While other young quarterbacks were taking whatever teams offered, Mahomes and his agent were preparing to make history. But first, he had to prove that 2018 wasn't just beginner's luck. The 2019 season tested everything Mahomes had learned about leadership and perseverance. The Chiefs started 6-4, and critics were lining up to say that defenses had figured out the young quarterback. Sports talk shows were debating whether Mahomes was a one-hit wonder, whether Andy Reid's system was carrying him, whether he could handle adversity when it inevitably came. Then something clicked. Starting in Week 11, Mahomes and the Chiefs went on one of the most dominant runs in NFL history. The divisional round against Houston would be Mahomes' defining moment, not just as a quarterback, but as a leader. Down 24-0 to the Texans in the first quarter, most 24-year-old quarterbacks would have panicked. But Mahomes did something that showed why he was different. He stayed calm. He looked at his teammates in the huddle and said, "We're fine. Just keep playing." What followed was the greatest comeback in Chiefs franchise history. 51 unanswered points and a 51-31 victory that announced to the world that Patrick Mahomes was worth every penny Kansas City was about to pay him. Super Bowl 54 against San Francisco was everything Mahomes had dreamed about since he was throwing footballs through tire swings in his backyard. For 3 quarters, it looked like his dream might turn into a nightmare. The 49ers defense was suffocating the Chiefs' offense, and Kansas City entered the fourth quarter trailing 20-10. That's when the kid from East Texas showed why he was about to become the highest paid player in NFL history. Mahomes' business empire continued, expanding. He launched his own production company, launched a fitness brand, and even got into the restaurant business with his Whataburger franchises across Texas. His partnership with sports drink brand BioSteel and his equity stakes in various tech companies had made him one of the wealthiest active athletes in the world. But none of it would have been possible without that initial bet on himself, walking away from guaranteed baseball money to chase his football dreams. The 2023 season proved that Mahomes' success wasn't just about individual brilliance, it was about sustained excellence that justified every dollar of his historic contract. Despite throwing for just 4,183 yards, he led the Chiefs to another playoff run that culminated in their second straight Super Bowl victory. That back-to-back championship run officially cemented his legacy and proved that Kansas City's investment in him was the smartest financial decision in sports history today. At just 29 years old, Patrick Mahomes has transformed from a small-town kid who almost chose baseball into a global icon worth over $500 million. 3 Super Bowl victories, 3 Super Bowl MVP awards, 2 regular season MVP awards, and a business empire that continues to grow. But what makes Mahomes truly special isn't just his arm strength or his mobility or even his business acumen. It's his humanity and his willingness to bet on himself. When nobody else would, he's shown us that greatness isn't just about talent. It's about having the courage to turn down guaranteed money and chase your dreams, about working harder when you're already on top, and about using your success to lift others up. When young athletes around the world watch Patrick Mahomes play, they don't just see the no-look passes and impossible throws. They see proof that with enough heart, enough work, and enough belief in yourself, any kid from anywhere can turn their wildest dreams into a $500 million reality. For more of the best NFL content, be sure to like and subscribe